Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on ClueCon Weekly. My only announcement is that if you haven't heard yet, our first release of version 1.10.0 is officially out. So version 1.10.1 is now out. So check out the release notes for that, try it out, and let us know what you think. So over to you, Madison.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on ClueCon Weekly. Today, we are graced with the presence of David Grant, who is here to talk to us a little bit about how he's been using FreeSWITCH. So, without further ado, David, how are you doing today?
Well, good afternoon, Madison, all the ClueCon audience. Well, I don't know. I haven't stopped long enough to try to figure that out. If I did, I might not like the answer.
Understandable. It's the day after Labor Day, so it's a holiday weekend. Did you have a good holiday weekend?
Well, I suppose so. We had some good grilling, steak, and that kind of stuff, so we can always appreciate that. Behind everybody else taking their holidays off, relying on dealing with all these vendors and everything else, makes holiday weekends rather unpleasant because I would rather get stuff done because everything doesn't wait for holidays except for all this people stuff around here, human resources being what they are. Hey, I appreciate being able to take the days off. Hell, take the next week off just to get my stuff done first. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So David, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Well, let's see if I can remember who the hell I am. Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, I had intended to pre-record some of this stuff, but technical difficulties and all the Charlie Foxtrot from all the holiday weekend. I am way far behind, but that seems to be the usual thing in doing the IT telephony thing. So I think we're all kind of used to that. I am a software developer. I've been doing electronic projects and software development and writing code for going on 4 decades now. And I can assure you it does cause brain damage. So, all you aspiring coders out there, be warned. But it is an interesting thing to be able to do. Started doing this stuff a very long time ago, back before everybody had computers in their houses. They kind of looked at you kind of funny. Oh, you're doing what with what? Yeah, okay. Well, now everybody's got them. Everybody knows what the internet is, and the world has changed. And this information technology paradigm is something that our generation built because we were out there on the cutting edge doing this stuff. We were playing on the internet before it was ever commercialized. So, here we are. I started in the whole educational realm going, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. I'm going to be doing all these scientific projects and started making a hell of a lot of money on IT and never really looked back. And sometimes I regret that decision, but other times I don't. It's been an interesting ride.
Absolutely. So what got you started on this career path here? I know you mentioned, you went to school, education, engineering. So what kind of got you? Is there a defining moment that you were like, yes, this is it for me?
No, not really. After I stopped and looked back, wait a minute, I got a whole bunch of money in my wallet here and I didn't have to really work all that hard for it. This is pretty easy stuff. So let's keep doing this. Rinse and repeat. Decades later, here we are.
Here we are. Well, we're grateful to have you here today. So tell our audience a little bit about where you get your best ideas from.
Oh, see, I don't know about that. I don't even know if any of the ideas are even any good. I mean, I think so, but just because it's good in my mind doesn't really mean much of anything.
Sure it does.
I can say that there's a lot of really good stuff and inspiration that's come from the open source community, working with all the developers, having many conversations, and we start talking about the technology, and it's an inspiring thing. And you start getting new ideas from the interaction from the people that you work with. And well, here we are with that. We've been doing a lot of work with the FreeSWITCH team and now SignalWire, and a lot of really good ideas have come out of that. And we've increased what we can do with the product as a result of that. And we're starting to move forward into making more modifications that soon enough everybody else will be able to enjoy as well, because hey, open source is what open source does. And we're happy to be able to contribute our technology.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how you're using FreeSWITCH and SignalWire.
Okay, let's go back into the past a little bit because I've been doing this FreeSWITCH thing a good long while. I had some friends that had this delusion back in the day of starting an internet radio show and
Mhm.
radio broadcasting, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time to start looking at that from a technical engineering standpoint. And I did a lot of research on the net, like I said, close to 10 years ago. And the solution I came up with, being the technical Unix command line guy, say, let's use FreeSWITCH for this because it was in its infancy, but I had enough capacity in there where I could take their conference calls and actually put them in a shoutcast stream just like what they wanted,
Mhm.
except for it was a little bit too complicated for them. So they ended up going down Sam Broadcaster, Radio Boss, this whole Windows paradigm, and
Mhm.
that kind of took off and went in a separate direction. But as a result of that, I was introduced to FreeSWITCH, and we started using that for some other stuff. And I did a little bit of my own, private broadcasting with that, and that kind of fell by the wayside. But as all of the information came out with the leaks, with the whistleblowers, all the security stuff, the NSA spying on you,
Yeah.
privacy started becoming a lot more of a concern for people. And one of the things that we were doing in the amateur radio community was building a mesh network to be able to connect things from one side of town to the other and be able to provide a disaster recovery information net where we can actually collaborate with each other. And hey, wait a minute, we can actually start sticking this FreeSWITCH on there. We started experimenting with that in VPN mesh networks, and then we actually had a relatively private communications infrastructure. Thank you, FreeSWITCH. We appreciate that. And as a result of that, we started adding all these trunks and providers from all these different places. And finally, when SignalWire came along, I was like, Eureka. I was already starting to
Mhm.
look at trying to build the provider that I wanted because I was very unhappy with something about every single one of these other guys. You didn't do this, you didn't do this. Nobody supported encryption. I mean, everybody was so, you don't need encryption, you don't need encrypted
Yeah.
media, you don't need privacy. Oh no! In point of fact, we do. And when you encounter SignalWire, these guys get it. I'm like, oh heck, this is awesome. And I don't really have to worry about whether or not it's going to interoperate with FreeSWITCH because guess what? These are the people that made FreeSWITCH, so this is great. Now it's a young company and it's on this meteoric rise, and not everything's perfect yet. It's a bumpy ride, but hey, they're a lot farther along than I would have been able to get on my own. So I said, great, I don't have to do all this stuff that I didn't really want to do anyway, and I can just contribute to that project and get back to the more, basic things that I'm trying to do with providing a high fidelity broadcast platform for.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have there been any features that you really that are really helpful to you using SignalWire? Have there been any features that you really use more often than others, or anything that you can tell people that really works for you?
Oh, well, let's see. The ability to just spin up a phone number in 2 seconds. Holy burner phone, Batman. I mean, you need a phone number for something. Here you go. Click, click, click. And there you go. And it integrates very well, as I said. And we've been using the messaging relays, and now I've got
Mhm.
a gateway that all these numbers can funnel stuff out to the various users' emails and capture the MMS attachments and all that stuff. And it works a heck of a lot better than all the other providers. So I'm very happy about that. And we'll just see, going into the future. See, I've already contributed a tiny little thing to the SignalWire project. It's the
Uh-huh.
override context feature in there in the configuration for mod SignalWire, because I'm trying to get all the SignalWire numbers off on their own specific dial plan for security reasons, as well as the convenience of being able to, do what I'm doing instead of trying to dump everything in default, which leads to
Yeah.
being quite a mess.
Yep.
So now I'm able to stick all the signal wires in the SignalWire dial plan and override that in the config file, and they all go there first. That way, I have a catch-all. So all I got to do is go spin something up, stick it on my connector, and then blammo, it already goes to my IVR. I don't even have to go add an extension or do anything else. Boom, that number is already live. So that's really cut down a lot of my work. So, I appreciate being able to do that. It's awesome to have a platform in which you can actually put features in there and grow with the community. I needed that, so
Yeah.
everybody else can. There's actually somebody that actually was benefiting from that with doing Fusion PBX, so I was kind of happy about
Hmm.
that. There's things that we did with the conference in there with the initial join and energy values. And I thought I was going to have to write the bloody feature. The thing is, I got into the code and I'm like, wait a minute, this stuff's already here, except for it doesn't work. So I went in and fixed that. And that was a beautiful thing that I didn't actually have to write the code. And I've got a bunch of other modifications I'm working on, because with, all the way from +4 to -4 is all the audio levels we have on here. In broadcasting, we like to go by dBs. We like a lot more control over that. So I'm starting to look at the base conference code and making some modifications to that, making some modifications to the conference relate, being able to control who can hear what and what goes into the recording, and having auxiliary channels to be able to talk back and forth between the host and the control room without anybody else hearing it, and all that stuff. So there's a lot of different things in the works, and right now it's a private stuff, but as soon as I get all the stuff very well tested and working, I will make it available to everybody else. We may end up cloning Mod Conference into Mod Broadcast or something like that, because I think a lot of the changes to the base way that it handles the audio is going to be pretty radical. Namely, getting rid of the weird behavior, this auto gain control thing, which is really good for the background conferences that you do between business and people and all that. But broadcasting, not quite so much so, because the thing likes to have the audio a little bit on the hot side, which leads to clipping, which when you're trying to broadcast the stuff, you go like, man, that sounds terrible. And there's ways of mitigating that, but I would really rather fix that permanently. And with all this other commercial products that you got closed source stuff, you will never in a billion years have the ability to do that. You will have to write the stuff from the ground up, and being able to take what is already a very powerful product and make it just a little bit better, a little bit more custom tailored to what we're doing, is a delightful thing. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I know. I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice. It's wonderful to hear. I love when people share their passions, It's such a good feeling. So tell me a little more about your show.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm more the back-end engineer these days. I haven't been doing any regular broadcasting of my own, aside from doing guest appearances about, cybersecurity, telephony, and that kind of thing, and we'll continue to do that. Right now, I'm trying to stay focused on the back end and build a pretty interesting platform. One of the other projects that we're talking about doing is standardizing a set of configuration files for a Raspberry Pi 4 now, and being able to have a big, massive cluster of these modified FreeSWITCH instances where they all collaborate and talk to each other, where they have kind of a peer-to-peer, but kind of a server infrastructure where you can have a bunch of people collaborating together, and all of a sudden you have the little people able to, with inexpensive hardware, build a network that can rival the likes of YouTube and can't be censored. And one of the big things out there in the world is now that these big tech companies are, no, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. And they all have, political agendas. It makes it very hard for people to exercise the Bill of Rights, Article 1, freedom of speech, which is core to the founding of our nation. And all we want to be able to do is have intelligent conversations with people about trying to figure out how the hell we're going to fix all these problems in the world, because the people that are in charge of fixing them are not fixing them. They would rather spend more time fixing more problems to justify their existence, because they don't know how to fix the problems they were elected for in the first place. So how about that?
How about that? I hear you. I hear you, David. So, final question here. Where do you see the future of the industry going? Where do you hope we go in the future?
Well, let's see. There's a lot of different possibilities for that, and not all of them we would like to see. We have been talking about the censorship and stuff like that. We've got a bunch of tech companies out there that really want to have a monopolistic control over everything, so they can dictate how all of this is going to go. And as we've seen with the internet and the open source world, that doesn't always work out that way. And I'm hoping that that takes effect, because we will not be having all these low, 8 kilohertz, PTSN things forever. This is all going to go to broadband digital networks. Eventually everybody will have fiber into everything, and we'll be transmitting video and maybe even holographic stuff with each other. So being able to be on the cutting edge of that, to be able to help shape the industry, is kind of an exciting thing, because where it goes, we don't know. That hasn't been written yet. It's up to us to get out there and really make some pretty amazing products and amazing companies and disrupt and do things a little bit differently and show people that, hey, we can do this a lot better way. And when you're out there, you can actually steer the industry. It gets kind of interesting from there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of our slogan over at SignalWire is, what is it? Develop, deploy, disrupt. Always disrupting, right?
Yep, something like that. And that's a good thing, because the status quo doesn't really get us anywhere. And that would be a more comfortable thing for the big boys out there. Hey, we're just going to be doing the same thing. You need to pay us for your services and all that. We're going to make a bunch of money on us and give us as little as possible. I think we've all had to deal with our cell phone providers and our cable TV providers and all that. And just the sheer, I'm not even going to say the word because it's not polite. It's just, wow, you really expect to think this is great? I mean, can you not do better than this? Oh, well, see, we're the monopoly. We don't have to do better than that. So having this competition out there is good. I would like to see a telephonic world that has a lot of competition out there, where you have a lot of choices, because that really drives the innovation and all that. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things to say about it. And like I said, I don't know how it's going to turn out. It'll probably be a whole lot less than what we dreamed for. It'll be somewhere in between, probably. I don't know.
Absolutely.
We'll just have to back and wait.
Yeah, we'll write it for ourselves, right?
That's it. I mean, right, exactly. We'll create our own damn destiny. And if they don't like it, we'll screw them. We're just going to do it anyway. Why do we have to have permission to be able to do anything fantastic? Because I would think that if everybody in the FreeSWITCH world asked permission, but, well, can we do this provider where we can, really give people affordable stuff and give people access to a platform that, takes their business to the next level? Oh, no, you can't do that. And that's exactly what you guys are doing over there at SignalWire. It's next level stuff. And that's what I was interested in about a year ago. I started looking at this thing a little bit different angle, going, there ought to be another platform out there that can do all these things that I want. And SignalWire is close. It's not all the way there yet, but they're not done building it yet, which is the exciting thing. Having access to the development team and being able to talk with these folks and interject ideas, we can work together on this stuff. So I'm excited about the potential. I really am thoroughly excited about it. So I'm going to be continuing to use SignalWire, because I tell you, I haven't really had a lot of time to spend on all the other providers anymore, because so far, SignalWire is almost the everything provider. It's not quite there yet. Y'all guys need to get that international DID stuff so I can get all that stuff under one roof, because I'm having to go places for all of that still. And it's like, oh, good grief. It's, managing so darn many accounts. It would be really nice to be able to just have it in one place.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of radio stations that are getting ready to go online, and I already got a just absolutely precious toll-free number for them. That's that they're going to like it. So what I'm hoping to do is maybe say, hey guys, okay, what you need to do with your phone service here, you're paying $700 a month for this T1 that you're barely using. I think I've got a solution for you, and just point them right at SignalWire, because it'll do everything that they needed to do and then some. And if they want to grow, well, there's a path for that too.
Absolutely. I like the way that sounds. Yeah, stay tuned. You never know what might pop up in our little startup here.
It's not just stay tuned, Madison. It's come in and participate with us, because we don't necessarily have all the really great ideas. So if we get all the great ideas from everybody out there and we put them in a little blender and hit puree, I mean, something interesting is going to come out of that. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we can't think of everything, because we don't know what everybody's business uses are. We don't know, how, they're going to progress, down the path and deployment and everything else. So this feedback we get from the community is, very valuable. And I have the same thing going on in the broadcast thing, because we've been doing all these, broadcasts, and I have a lot better idea now, about a year into this, what we need to do for being able to support this high-end professional broadcast stuff. We've been doing radio, but we're starting to look into television. So the next couple of years is going to be kind of interesting. And later this afternoon, I have my first maiden broadcast with one of my on-air affiliates. So that ought to be kind of interesting. So we'll be getting off to that, and I hope that goes well. Gremlins and all that stuff. Who knows this technology stuff?
Is there any way we can tune into that?
Well, let's see. This won't be broadcast in time for that. It's on KHNC 1360 out in Colorado, and we'll give you guys some more information in the Slack channels on that as we do that. Hopefully, Mountain Time. 11 a.m. Mountain Time on Friday on the Open Forum show for a couple hours. I will be on with Steve Stars, and we should be using Verto Communicator, my heavily modified Verto Communicator, to be able to do this stuff. Because one of the things, we're using Verto right here to do this, and I appreciate that. Oh yeah, I'm familiar with this. I've been using this every bloody day for the past year, and we had to make modifications to make it where only authenticated users can get on here. Because what you guys do with the ClueCon, hey, beautiful. We want to be able to interface with people, but when you're doing FCC regulated broadcasts, you can't just have anybody get on the air, because there's a lot of trolls out there, and they would start filthing foul and oh yeah, now you just got your FCC license yanked because you weren't careful about who you let on the air. So we've had to do some modifications to Verto as a result of that. And I also reskinned the thing, because we're looking at this thing for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and these bright backgrounds and these old eyes, they don't get along very well. So what we've got is a dark theme for that, and hopefully I'll get some time and some help. I have this guy saying that he's going to pitch in some help with the JavaScript code and all that, and working on the front end, because I want to put a theme engine into Verto and make that part of everybody's stuff. You want it to look different? Here you go. Here's how you do it. Yeah, but being able to do this first one, that was a hunt and peck, going through the CSS. But it really isn't where I can push it out, in JIT at all, because it's so sloppy at this point, because I had no help. But I had a roadmap of what I want it to do and what I want it to look like. In fact, I got a much better roadmap of how I want this to play, now that we've been using this for years, and how the callers, will interact with the hosts, and being able to talk to the board ops about, you have this caller online, you have this caller online, this break is going to be skipped, and all this stuff. We're using the chat pretty heavily through that, and all of that's going to be modified a little bit, where you can see the modified chat and the member list at the same time. There's a lot of features that are going into this, and it'll be kind of interesting to see where we are in about 6 months, because I'm going to be able to turn some attention towards that now that a lot of the back end stuff has been done. I still have some more modifications to do to mod.conference and mod.verto to be able to accommodate this stuff, but I'm trying to be very surgical about that and make the smallest modifications to the code possible, with the idea of one of these days, before too long, being able to do a pull request and get this in the master, so everybody can enjoy the features. But I don't want to break anything that everybody else has been using, because there's a lot of people using this, and changing the behavior of this could be kind of dicey. So I'm trying to be very, very careful and thoughtful about all of that. So we'll just have to see. It's a beautiful product, and like I said, I like what SignalWire is doing. I'm actually thoroughly impressed. I'm so glad I don't have to do it myself, because I was looking at that about a year ago. I have to build this myself. Okay, well, that's another, 9 months, year out of my time, even to get the thing started. And, oh, hey, wait a minute, somebody else had the idea. Brilliant. So, on with life. So we'll see what we can do about, bringing our ideas into the same house, and maybe increasing the offerings of FreeSWITCH and SignalWire as a whole, because it's not about me, it's not about my company, it's about being able to put a platform out there that can be used by all the people, platform of the people, by the people, for the people, kind of the whole thing, and the founders and all that. So we shall see what happens with that. So anyway, thanks for having me on. I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared for that, but holiday weekends are as holiday weekends do, and everything is going to be confused for the next 3 weeks, because everybody decided they need to take a few extra days off. I don't appreciate that. On your own time, guys, not mine.
Thanks so much, David. And maybe in 6 months we can have you back on to tell us about your modifications to Verto then.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I'll probably have some presentations a little bit sooner than that. After we get some of the real broadcasting done, we'll do some exhibits on all of that and show everybody how that works.
Love that.
Especially when we start getting to the point we can start, pushing some of this code up for everybody else. It's still very alpha test right now, and we're still finding all these little pitfalls where we're, falling down the rabbit hole on that stuff. And I really don't want to inflict that on the community. If it's not, solid and production ready, it's not going up there. Not yet.
Absolutely understand. All right. Well, David, thank you so much for coming in. I wish you luck on the rest of your projects here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. We'll keep you posted. Everybody stay safe out there.
Thanks for watching ClueCon Weekly.
Don't forget to give this video a like and a subscribe. And while you're at it, make sure to go and follow all of our other social media channels.
We'll see you right here next week, same time, same place. And catch you at ClueCon.